Check, check, check. Trying this now. Checking this microphone. I knew this was going to happen. Crazy. All right. What a bummer. Am I here now? Okay, nice. All right, this is coming out of my laptop, and all my crap that is everywhere else is not coming up. So let's get this thing started. Even though we've been sitting here for 10 minutes, thank you for being patient with me while I get all this technical crap worked out. So, yeah, today is our very first AMA, which is Ask Me Anything for those of you that don't know. So, anything having to do with role playing games or things that are going on with Agronac Studios and whatever is on your mind, I'd love to hear what you've got. Yeah, for questions. So, yeah, let's get to it. I'm going to fill up this pipe. There does seem to be a bit of a delay, probably, I don't know, it seems like it's almost 30 seconds, I think. So, um, yeah. So, so glad to see that Yori's here. Hey, Yori, Wingus, and the Pale Emperor. Oh, we got Ricardo Mazzetto, excuse me, and R&D Penny. I think I need my glasses to read all this. I don't even know where they're at. I am so prepared for this. Crossroads Mystic, African swallow or European swallow? European, definitely. But it could be the African. We're not sure. The Pale Emperor asks, big question. Each morning, do you put on the left sock or the right sock first? I'm a righty. Yeah, I put the right sock on first and put my right leg through my pants as well as the right shoe. So I know inquiring minds wanted to know that, and there you go. Yori, Yori asked, whiskey today or just the pipe? Today it's just the pipe. I've had way too much whiskey in the last few days, even though all I want to do is have more. I think I need to chill out for a little bit. Oh, Coyote, what's my Lonely Island book? Well, we had this question the other day on Discord, and if you're not part of our Discord, go and sign up for that. It is currently open to the public. There may be a time when we close that down to just Patreon members, but right now it's open to the public. My Lonely Island book, what I said in that chat was The One Ring, second edition. And for a really weird reason, other than, J.R. Tolkien and his amazing setting and what everyone at Free League did over there for that game. Um, but it's for the math. I think it would help keep me occupied. It's a little crunchy for my taste for weekly games, but I think that's what I would go with. It would definitely be the One Ring second edition. So there you go. Plus, they're beautiful books, amazingly. Ricardo, Is that because you're right-handed or you're left-handed? I'm right-handed, so yeah, I don't know why. But the weird thing is that when I used to wear a wallet, I would put my wallet in my left back pocket, which apparently is not normal. So there's that. Wingus asked, "What's the best race for D&D? Human, 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 or human?" I think I'm gonna choose B, human. But that's just for player characters. I really like gnomes, to be perfectly honest. Um, yeah, there you go. So yeah, this picture right here is from William McAuslin, and I did purchase this picture, so I didn't draw it. If you were wondering, I don't know if I could be so good as to get that perspective right there. Merlin, how you doing, buddy? Hope all is well. Hope the puppets are doing good. Um, how many games am I currently running? Currently, I'm running 0 games. We take some time off during the end of November and into December because my work schedule is just so crazy. I was able to play a one shot during that time, which I had a blast with. And hopefully, in the next few weeks, I'm going to get back up and going with my normal weekly game. And that will either be with the Sawing campaign or with Castle Agranac, which is my West Marches campaign that I do. The Pale Emperor. Will we see Sawin content this year? I am hoping. I am really hoping so. In fact, I am working on, and I need to switch my views here. I'm going to replace the picture. This is such a clunky way to do this. Um, but this right here is going to be the cover to a zine I'm creating, which is called, obviously, Mugwort. And it's the official Samhain campaign setting zine. And I'm still working out the contract for this exact cover piece right here. Um, and it's from an artist that I've admired for a long time. Her name is Liga Klavina, and she does these awesome watercolor pictures that have this great fairy tale vibe. And so, yeah, just working that out. And I've got another custom piece coming from one of the artists. His name is Ricardo um, de Gaspar. He's part of Ink Potion Studios. So I am looking forward to that. So, yes, there is going to be this zine coming forward in, I don't know, fingers crossed for this month, the end of this month, but maybe at the beginning of February. But I'm working on shoring up the adventure and getting that all buttoned up and ready to go. Ah, yeah. Oh, which systems am I playing? From Merlin. So, what systems do I play? I play OSE. I play a stripped down version of second edition with a lot of house rules, which is how we played it back in the day. And I play Easy D6. when we did our Sawing campaign, which was through September and October this last year. That was all easy D6, which I think is great for those one shots or small series. Um, but yeah, OSE second edition, those are my main bags. And then I do have um, my own game system called 13 RPG, which is a D20 base. So we play that as well. Ricardo asks, why do you have so many puppets? I love them, by the way. Why? Because there needs to be variety, I guess. I don't know. My son always, well, he told me once that he was like, you don't need a bunch of puppets. But I love the fact that there's different voices and different personalities that are there on screen when I do all those. So, yeah, that's why. I wish I had more. Do I get those no naming blues or no game naming, no gaming blues? Um, Sometimes, but I find that taking a break is actually really, really helpful. So, yeah, it helps me to come back refreshed. So I know there's plenty out there, even in the chat right now, that play as much as they possibly can, are playing solo games by themselves, and I love it. I'm inspired by it, but I put it takes a lot of energy for me to play games, and I typically want to play every single week. But when I do take a break, I think it's good. It's good for the soul. Of all the games you have on the shelf, what is one book you have that I've always wanted to either DM and play as a player that you never have? That's from Wingus. Um, hmm, Trudvang would be the one because the setting is so awesome. It's got a Scandinavian and Celtic vibe to it with amazing, amazing art. Some of the best I've ever seen in an RPG book. It's just the system was so clunky, but I am so, so happy that Free League has announced that Trudvang, who of which they own the rights, they bought it from Riot Minds. They're coming out with a Dragon Bane engine for the True Vein setting. And so, yes, 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 I'm going to be playing that. That'll be a no-brainer for me. Uh, Crossroads Mystic, will Mugwort be printed? So I'm going back and forth, and maybe you guys can chime in on this. I want it to be printed. I may just do a short run because I would like to have a little bit more control over the quality. So I may end up doing a run of 100, but it will be a PDF. Uh, I've thought about doing just the print on demand as well, or even going through Lulu so that it's always available. But I think there's something about creating scarcity, I suppose. And so I may do an in house or through a fulfillment house a short run of that. Thank you for the question. That's cool. High Tech Wizard. Any thoughts on solo play? Been curious about it lately. If you've tried it, any journaling or documenting things that work for you. So, if you've seen the I guess puppet, it's technically a Dungeons and Puppets episode of myself and Zoth. playing. It's just us two, and there's two parts. There's supposed to be a third part, and I may finish that up. That started off as a solo game and using Dragonbane. What I did was, as I rolled things, I prefer the journaling because it makes it a bit more intense in my mind. Some people don't like the journaling aspect, and just play, and they have their memory of whatever happened and they move forward. I like the journaling aspect, which I got from Ironsworn, which was my first uh, game that was a solo game, and man, that was awesome. I really like Ironsworn and the mechanics and everything. Not really a fan of the art, but the mechanics is on another level, and their ideas of that is great. And also Mythic, I use first edition Mythic, which is a GM emulator, and so that's a good place for at least some ideas. So I don't have a lot of um, I don't have a ton of experience, but I do have some, and I will be doing that third part of that solo play with Zoth and me, where it looks like it's two of us, but it's actually just me on the background. So maybe I'll post that as a video of me actually coming up with that and what I do and what my process is. I'd put that on Patreon. So maybe as a low level tier green watcher or above. Are the puppets coming back in the future? Yori writes. Are they playing a different system? Is it possible Dungeons and Puppets sequel? Big hugs to Zoth and Potsy. I want the puppets to come back. I don't know if many of you know, but I did take a pretty big fall in November, and I heard this comedian talk about when you're old and say that you took a fall, it means something. I broke and dislocated on my right side, which has been hell to go through the healing process. I'm still feeling it kind of get jacked up. That has kind of made me need to step away from the puppets for a bit. But I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that at the end of this month, I will have an episode, maybe that final episode of the Dragon Bane with Zoth and me. So, and that would just be having to play one puppet. So it might be better, or at least I'll be able to test the waters. And then, yeah, I want to be able to do more episodes of the puppets playing. So what that'll look like, I'm not sure. Maybe more of the same. We'll see. Wingus, I do voices as a GM, but sometimes I get my voices mixed up or bleed together as I think of other stuff in my head. As a professional, you must have some tips on keeping voices from mixing, etc. Well, this happens to the best of us. It happens to me all the time because there's a lot of things that you have to kind of keep in your mind as you're being a game master. So I think one of the best tips is to have a few voices that you kind of go to and be able to maybe even compartmentalize them. Um, so for instance, I'll do like maybe a weird Cockney accent for the guards in a town, and I just keep it there. Every once in a while, I'll do that with a normal NPC, but I'll do something like that. And I try not to always do the Scottish sort of accent for dwarves, but I'll do that too. But sometimes having these little tropes and even stereotypes is good so that you don't lose track. So that would be my advice. Oh no, you just got an ad. I'm sorry about that. Uh, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. Schizophrenia does help with voices. Pale Emperor. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, the broken rib was not fun. Gosh, it's horrible. It's a bad thing. Don't do that. Thanks, high tech wizard. Really appreciate that. Well wishes. That is so true, Merlin. When you do an accent for an NPC, make sure to note it down. I used to do NPC cards on 3x5 notebooks where I'd have their name, maybe what I voiced them as, and then some little notes, whether they're, maybe a fighter or a commoner, an innkeeper, whatever. And that helped, hole punch that, throw that in your 3-ring binder and reference that. So, yeah, having those notes is very helpful. Big question, what's in the pipe? Well, I live in California, so no. It's not that. It is this stuff right here called No Bite Delight from J.M. Boswell. They're out of Pennsylvania, and it's one of my favorite blends. It's an aromatic, so nice and wonderful in the air. And Melnick, yeah, just answered that one. um, how many patches do I have on the vest? I have no clue. Um, I don't know. Let me see. Let me take this off. Oh, this is a lot harder than it looks with a bruised rib. Oh damn. I'm not gonna count them, but I will point out. I need to switch my view so I can make sure this is in screen. Um, Man, so many of them are my favorite. That's on the front. Most of you guys don't see these bottom ones. Um, I really dig this D&D one, the Beck Me D&D. And on the back, Pirate Borg. That's a rare one for sure. Some second edition. What else I got? Oops. Where am I at? Easy D6. Got a rep. And then I got my AD&D first edition back patch right here. That's my favorite. Shoot. Um, I don't know. So many. I really like this D&D one. The Beck Me line D&D logo. I think that's pretty cool. But the Agronac cult patch is awesome because, well, that comes from us and all of us here. So yeah, that's one of my favorites. I don't know, all of them. My jacket's my favorite. Let's see. Is it purely for your show, or do you wear that every day in everyday life? I'll wear it every once in a while out, but it's now become kind of an asset. So if I go to conventions, I'll wear it. Every once in a while, like last year, I went to Universal Hollywood, Universal Studios, and mostly actually completely to just visit Hogsmeade, the Harry Potter land that they got there, and I wore it there. And so every once in a while I'll wear it out, but I see it now as an asset. If I were to leave it somewhere, man, there's so much work involved in this. And so if I do go out with it, I'm always wearing it. I'll never take it off because I'm afraid of losing it. I mean, really, this is each patch going for $5 to $15 or more sometimes. Uh, it's an expensive piece, even though it looks, you know, heavy metal, punk rock, or whatever. So yeah. Ooh, question. Favorite book in your 2E collection, my AD&D second edition. What makes 2E your favorite other than nostalgia alone? Hmm, that's a very interesting question. What is my favorite? Man, I think my favorite product wouldn't necessarily just be a book, but my favorite product is my Karmikos box set, which has books in it. Uh, yeah, that would be the one. There's so much in it. Real close second would be my red box Ravenloft. Those hold a dear place in my heart. And so those, and what does it make? Gosh, it is definitely nostalgia. It's where I started with the hobby, was second edition. So I think that does make it important. But the thing is that when you strip down AD&D, um, you get BX, even though some of the dice rolls might be different. Like for instance, for random encounters, you'd roll a D12, rather than a D6. I prefer a D6, so I default to the D6. So I'm playing a lot. I don't know. My rule set are that. So yeah, the 2E books, I know front to back. If I need to find something, I can flip right to it. So a lot of it has to do with reference as well, being able to get to anywhere quickly and know it. And that's the first printing that is the most important. Yeah, Ricardo, the Dolman Wood patch is going on. It'll go up top for sure. I've got a bunch of other patches that I need to sew on. Takes about 45 minutes or so for each patch to sew that on. So that is definitely on the list. Yori the Human, what is your opinion on duality dice? I like comparing dice together in the form of opposed rolls, especially for combat. I have fun rolling against my players. I love duality rolls. I don't know. You did put it in quotes, so I'm not if sure if duality dice is like part of a system, but that idea of opposing roles like the magic system in Easy D6, I love that. I use those same sorts of things in my game. I'm constantly bringing out dice and throwing it down on the table and saying, beat that number or meet it or beat it, and let's see what happens. And being able to roll in front of my players. Not always. I like my screen. It's like a fort. It's a comfort, and I get to hide all my doodads and whatnot. But I do stand up a lot and throw out dice. That's why we roll initiative every round with a D6, and everyone is you know interested in that role specifically. So it it heightens the tension in the game without you having to do a lot. So yeah, duality dice or dueling dice for the win. Do you have an impulse buy on your shelf? that you never played. Yes, so many. Um, Delve, which I did a video on last week. That was an impulse buy. I may use it. I may reference it, especially the traps section. But I like Grimtooth's traps as well. Has so many more traps in it. Um, so there's nothing new under the sun with Delve. So that's one. Right now, my impulse buy, I just talked about it, was Trudvang. I've never played it because the system is bonkers, man. It is all over the place, very crunchy. Uh, Character creation, I couldn't even get past character creation. Not that I couldn't take the time and figure it out. My time's limited. I need to get right to the point as quickly as possible. And so that's one, but I love the art in that in those books. So, what's your favorite type of dice? Mine is the D12, the Pale Emperor. Yes, mine is I think also the D12. I love it. And the D20. Uh, and the D6. If I had to only take three dice, those would be it. The rest I could take them or leave them. But yeah, I think the D12 kind of it charts. It definitely charts. Maybe my first or second D20, first or second. Um, yeah. How do I feel about the 2E second edition AD&D players option books? I think they're optional. I yeah, that's what I think. I think there's some great things in there, um, but they're optional, and that's the thing. I think if you're getting in, I think one of the things that is great is like the high level campaign book or the high level play. Forgot how it was titled, but that's a good one if you're looking to stretch out your legs for high level play. That gives some really interesting options. The magic, expanding the different spells and whatnot, great stuff. But is it necessary? No. I used to talk with DMs back in the day, and we were always like, we never start at first or second level. We always start at third level, but we don't like going higher than 10th. And really, after eighth is not where we like it. And that was before people started talking about that was before YouTube and all that, and people with their opinions on that. But that's my still my opinion. If you want to play AD&D, start at third level, kind of retire between eighth and 10th, and there you go, done. Yes, Yori's the D6 boy. Follow up to TPE, Fate Mill die, bestest or greatest die. I can only choose one. It is one of the bestest. I hate to be a bearer of bad news, but my my oracle at my table tends to be D6s, and I do have a D6 that has either a yes or extreme yes, no or extreme no. Gets rid of the maybes, and then you roll multiple ones depending on how likely it is to be one side or the other, whether a yes or a no. And I find that gets to the point quicker. I don't have to hiccup with the maybes. So that might be controversial. Sorry. Ricardo, what's your favorite genre? Fantasy, sci fi, cyberpunk, horror, or any other? My favorite genre to play is fantasy. I know. I'm just a basic bitch, right? But I love fantasy. With my own campaign setting, that's like a folk horror, which I'm calling Hearth and Horror, to get away from that folk horror thing, so it's not confused with other games. Um, so I like having cozy aspects, but definitely fantasy and then horror is very important. Yeah, kind of following up, Yori, which genre campaign setting uh, you were playing and which is your favorite? I play the Saltwind Vale a lot because I love it, but also I'm developing it and trying to get these zines out. So that's important. And then I play my West Marches, so that's a big deal too. So fantasy base. Let's see here. Spicy take. Team Arneson or Team Gygax? Um, you can't have one without the other. If it wasn't for Arneson, we wouldn't have the spark, and if it wasn't for Gygax, we couldn't have codified it. We wouldn't have the rules and the amount of content that we got without Gygax. And so I don't think any of us would be sitting here having this conversation without both of them. So yeah, both, both. Here's one. I am trying to read this name. K. Hershey Jr. There we go. K. Hershey Jr. Sorry, I need my glasses. They're over there. What's your favorite memorable PC death? Hmm. The most memorable. Would that be personal? I'm going to take it from a personal stance and my own personal favorite. I have to say, not a lot of my characters have died, so maybe that's a bad a bad way to go. So deaths that I've created, I think it was a Star Wars game and Star Wars West End game, and we were in a compound. I wasn't playing; I was game mastering, and somebody decided in this compound that they were going to throw a thermal detonator in a 20 by 20-foot room at some stormtroopers, and you could guess how that turned out. Everyone was vaporized. This was after like spending 45 minutes making characters and doing all that, and literally in the first 5 minutes of the game, everyone was vaporized, and I was like, okay, we can make up some new characters if you want. And we did, and we continued to play. And suffice it to say, no one used a thermal detonator again in that game. So, Coyote, rank your preference. Level up experience, skill based system, progression, and growth with none of the above. Yeah, none of the above. Um, what do I use? It may be the most nerfed progression that you can have, and I put it within my own game system called 13 RPG, and that is show up and level up. That's it. Because everybody at my table, and this may be just for me, so it's definitely a microcosm of my experience. The most important thing for me is for the players to show up. Period. I don't want anybody calling out or saying I can't make it, something came up, etc. If you don't show up to the game, you're not going to gain levels. And so I have a progress chart where first level is like 1 or 2 sessions, second level's like 3 sessions or four, third level's like five, so on and so forth. I have it all mapped out. And so that is how I do level up. Show up to the game and get something. Um, because I mean, on the flip side, people say, "Oh, well, you're not giving them incentive in game to either get gold or kill monsters or whatever, or hit milestones or plot points or any of that stuff." But that doesn't matter to me because my characters that are in my game, the players that are in my game, are already doing that. They don't need to be coaxed to engage in those things. Um, so I just say, show up, and you'll get your levels. I'll go above that and give them in-game boons and say, for certain themes or whatever, if you dress up or if you bring some food or you bring the dungeon master some Jack Daniels, then I'll give you a luck coin or some sort of boon, some sort of roll during the game. So that's kind of how I deal with it. Your favorite memorable boss you put in your games, and then go up. What's your favorite monster? Don't matter if it's mythological or from Monster Manual. Okay, gotcha. This is from Yori. So, my favorite memorable big boss you put in your games. I think, gosh, there's been so many. There's been so many. Um, one of them was a goddess, Nyx, which even though I know that that goddess appears in, I think, the Mystara or Mistra, depending on how you want to say it, but in the Mystara ethos, I believe there is a Nyx in there. But I created this goddess, and that was an amazing, wonderful uh, big BBEG. And right before that was leading up to that battle was a battle against um, the dragon Immortus that was awesome. But it was through that battle that revealed this battle with Nyx, and the players had to wind their way through Cthulhu monsters and beholders and everything else, all on an open battlefield with just a few pillars to hide behind, and that was it. And that was very visual and very memorable. The other one was also Cthulhu Beasts, where I had a Cthulhu monster that was basically a copy of Cthulhu called Cthulhucles. And going up against that creature, uh, its monsters were these. It was just over the top. We were playing 5e, so it had to be over the top, right? They were like huge, 20-story tall Cthulhu monsters that everybody had to take down. And during that battle, they found out that they couldn't do any damage. And they had been dealing with this for a long time, but had there was some vampirism in the game. And they found out that if they could find a a squishy, fleshy part, which oftentimes was inside the mouth of these creatures, that because they were vampires, the vampirism, when you bit these creatures, destroyed them instantly. But they had to find that out through many, many adventures and arduous process. So that was fun. Oh, my favorite monster, I would say gods. Any gods, I always tend to go there, and so godlike beings, and close to that would be dragons, Yori. Pale Emperor, Pale Emperor Magic is advancing spell slots or roll to cast. Roll to cast. That's it. Yeah, just roll or die. Favorite monster I typically use, um, dragons. I play Dungeons and Dragons, and I think that dragons need to be represented more. And so let's use more dragons. And then you mentioned I love skeletons and other undead and fighters. Yeah, undead are a staple. No matter where you're at, you're going to find undead in my world. And I love using undead dragons, Draco-liches, and whatnot. What is my most replayed classic module? Hmm. When I was playing second edition, when I started, I didn't play a lot of modules. We played our own homebrew stuff. Um, so I can't really I have them. I have modules. I mostly played settings, and then use those settings as a backdrop, and then went about it. The one that I'm most fond of, and it's not first edition, it is second edition, and it is in Karmikos, and it's called Hail the Heroes. That's probably one of my favorite modules that I've played. Um, but I guess here's a slider. The one that I played the most is actually a Star Wars adventure called Tatooine Manhunt. So yeah, there's that one. I love this question, Coyote, and it's something that I've thought about. Um, so he says, let's set the world on fire question. Is there anything in 5e that you appreciate or perhaps even like? So I've been doing this is a setup to answer this question. I've been doing this series on OSR philosophy, and I need to do one more video and then I'll be done with that. And I'm not sure when that's going to come out, maybe the week after next. Um, but I wanted to do an antithesis to that and, modern gaming philosophy as well. And so I love plenty about 5e. Um, I have to think about all the different things that I love. Some of the things that are my critiques are also the things that I love. So I play older editions of D&D because you have progression, but you don't get much. And so really to buff the characters as they go along, you introduce magic items. And that is how you really buff up those players. In 5e, I don't have to worry about magic items. If they're a MacGuffin, cool. But I don't worry about them. I don't even do potions, healing potions or anything like that. So even though it's a critique, it's also something I like. I don't have to worry about, oh, I gotta introduce a magic item here somewhere. Um, but because I lean towards wanting to use magic items, leaning into the folkishness of it, like for instance, swords in our own folklore and histories had their own names and had their own history that they miss out on that in a game like 5e. But I like that I don't have to deal with it because every other level you get a class feature, um, and I don't have to worry about it. I do like that, but I also don't like it. So it depends on my mood. Um, I like at first I liked with 5e that within a year to a year and a half, I could level somebody up to 20th level. So we could feel what it was like from first to 20th. And because everything is kind of scaling with you, the monsters you're fighting, the difficulties and all that stuff, um, it's not like you're that much better at what you're doing. You just think that you're better, except for Monk's stunning strike at fifth level. That shit's broken. Um, but um, but there's not much that is broken. If it wasn't for WotC doing what they do, I would still be playing 5E. Um, but I feel dirty doing that. So yeah, that's probably way too much. Um, what's the ideal level of magic for you? Low magic or high magic? Also, roll the cast for the win. Yes, it should be a test like anything risky in a game. Totally agree. Uh, so with D and D, just to speak in D and D terms, level of magic. Um, I like low magic. I really do, but I want my characters to have high magic, and for powerful wizards or witches or whatever to have high magic. But in the world, I think it should not be that common. Folk magic, agrarian magic, stuff like that should be accessible to your world. But having, you know, Joe the farmer down the street being able to cast fireball and he uses it to burn his crops, every 7 years, I don't think is a good use. I don't like that. So both, I'd say both. What's my favorite gaming convention? Um, I think I can take that two ways. Like gaming convention as in like the game convention to go to, like a con, or a convention in the game, an actual rule set or something. Um, I've only gone to a couple gaming conventions, some that were quasi gaming conventions, but I went to OrcCon last year and that was fun. And I'm thinking about going this year. That's in February, and that's in Los Angeles. So I might go there. So we'll see. I really, really want to go to GaryCon. So I was hoping this year that's not going to happen. That's in March, and it's just not in the cards. Um, so yeah, what's my take on VTT? This is from Ricardo, sorry. VTT and digital tools taking over TTRPGs. I bet you're an analog kind of guy. I am too, but some tools are in fact useful and interesting. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I think they are too. I think one of the coolest conventions with VTT is Fog of War, especially with a map. How cool is that? If you can get it all set up. And that's the thing, is that it just takes a lot of time. I'm more tactile. I was enamored with terrain and miniatures from back in the day, couldn't afford it. Being an adult now, I've got a little bit of expendable income. So that's where I put my money, is in those sorts of things. So I like seeing the terrain. I like doing all that. I'm fine with it taking over the hobby. I think there's a real plausible reason for it. I mean, the Agronac Discord is full of games every single weekend with awesome guys that can't necessarily meet in person all the time. So that is just friggin' amazing. I don't prefer it because of a lot of the delay. That's getting better. Like delay, even right here, there's delay doing anything live. Right, we're going long distances. So I don't like that. I don't prefer it. I find that I tap out at about 2 hours, but I can play live 6, 7, 8 hours, no problem. Um, so I would rather play more live than play less and feel drained after a 2 hour session. But that's just me. Everybody has their own thing. When am I coming to the East Coast so we can collaborate? Nothing in the future. Um, but man, I want to move there for crying out loud. Uh, it is on the list of places to move to from this hellhole that is California. Sorry if you live here. I was born and raised. I can say it. Hellhole. Uh, Not cool. I want to get out of here so bad. Um, I mean, we're looking at like New Hampshire, Vermont, even Idaho. That's still on the western end here, but we just need to get out. We need to get the heck out of here. But enough on that. That's politics. I don't want to talk politics. Um, Ooh, this is a cool one. Conan versus Farfod and the Grey Mouser. Which, if either would you play a character in, which would you GM? Oh my gosh. When I first started playing D&D, my first character obviously was based upon Conan. Conan's my favorite um ever. But I have a very soft spot for Lankmar. I've got Lankmar as a sign up here that you'll see on the Dungeons and Puppets behind Dice Bag. His character, Lankmar, is one of my signs that I have there. But it's a cursed campaign setting for me. I'm sad to say. Every time I played it, it's dissolved for one reason or another. I love playing in Lankmar in that setting, and Farfod and the Grey Mouser, so awesome. Just love it. Um, so yeah, I want to play in Lankmar, but I want to be Conan. So I'd be a Farfod type in Lankmar. Great question. Thank you. Yeah, Merlin. Yeah, 5E isn't terrible, but it doesn't give me the same hit as 1E. Yeah, it's true. It's a different game. It really is. It's a different mindset, and I prefer the older. I'm glad, I'm not glad for the OGL crap and all the other questionable things that they've done. Um, but I'm glad that it helped me to get back to my roots. So, you know, making lemonade out of lemons, I suppose. Do you typically use slots or bean counting inventory? I've done both and I like both. I really do. I see a place for it. If I'm playing one shots or quick quick games or short series, um, then slots for sure. If I'm playing a long campaign, man, you better know what's on your character sheet. And if you don't got it, you don't got it. And that's that. I'm not going to do an equipment roll. If you had 20 arrows and you counted all those down, I mean, in a game, I don't think bean counting is bad because the players got plenty of time to bean count. They really do, especially in combat. There is plenty of downtime when other people are doing other things for you to say, minus this, I now am down that, or whatever. So I don't think that is a problem. But I also err on the side of you can carry what's logical. So I don't do like pound for pound either. So there's that. Yeah. Um, yeah. K. Hershey Jr., I think you would really dig Gary Con. Been twice, luckily. That's awesome. I would love to go. I really would. It's a bucket list thing. And then I want to go to Dave Con too, just because, founders, we were talking about them earlier. Do you use any kind of special resource management in your game? Luck points, bennies, story points, inspiration. I always use luck points. Um, and I used to use luck points. It was how I got non-role players to role play. It was basically a reroll token, is how I would use luck points. So if you botched a roll or whatever, then go ahead and use that to reroll. I used it initially to get non-role players to role play. I was like, if you say that in character, I will give you a luck token. It didn't take more than 5 seconds for that to become a reality. And then all of a sudden, the piece of me that I need at a game, which is watching the players role play, that is so entertaining to me. I love that aspect that became fulfilled. Now, because everybody role plays and every one of my players are role players, uh, if you roll a natural 13 in the game, you get a luck coin. That's how I roll it, and that's what my game is centered around. 13 RPG, where you get a luck coin for rolling a natural 13. So yeah, I do. Oh, that's awesome, Merlin. Yeah, I would love to visit. Um, if they're in Northern California, that's like being 20 states away on the East Coast. So maybe not that far, but definitely Central California or below. I would love to hook up and meet for sure. Ooh, who's your favorite fantasy artist, alive or dead? Um, Parkinson, Keith Parkinson is one of my favorites ever. Uh, Second E had all the good art. Period. Fight me. It had all the good art. Um, and yes, it was a conglomeration of many of the covers that were from Dragon. That was, arguably, not arguably, factually, BX and first edition era. But then they used that artwork in like the Dividers and the Monsters Compendium on all the modules and all of that. Second edition has the best art, first printing stuff. And so Parkinson, Elmore, um, those are just my favorites. I've got more prints upstairs. Daniel Daniel R. Horn, amazing. Um, I can't say the first name, otherwise I'm going to get roasted. But Jacques is that is like Carnico's Kingdom of Adventure art and Glantry art on those box sets. Amazing. I love those pieces. So most anything second edition, just great. Crossroads Mystic. I grew up with movies like Conan and Beastmaster. Me too. Two of my favorites. Um, Little to no magic items and very few spells magic users. Is there a setting that you feel gives the vibe of those types of 80s movies? Lankmar. So the Lankmar setting, second edition, has that. The magic is just compartmentalized to the guys that are usually the big bads, right? But sometimes good guys, but they're very learned and all of that. Even Lord of the Rings second edition, there's no magic users there. Um, Really awesome. That gives the vibe, even though that is specifically an IP, and so is Lankmar. But I think Lankmar, I don't know, you can use that and not be completely Lankmar. I don't know if that makes sense, or use those ideas. I think the best setting is your own setting. Um, that will give you the best vibe. And I think that aligns with the hobby the most. It's all about homebrew and your homebrew world. So I say make it and yeah, play it. Back to inventory. Do you allow players to recover arrows? I tried to allow and add a simple rule to decide yes or no recoverable, but too bulky. Um, I do it like in D&D. I do it if you're a ranger or an elf or have a proficiency in archery, then you can get D6 arrows back if you roll a 1 or a 2 on a D6. Everyone else, nope. It has to go with your character, I think. Has to make sense for your character. Oh, they're in San Francisco. Yeah, that's a bit of a drive. That's a good 7, 8, 9 hour drive for me. Um, but San Francisco can be nice for sure. You never know. It could be a con up there we go to and we can meet up. Yeah, Ricardo is yeah, real painting. And that's one of the things I didn't really like about 5e is that all of that art is Photoshop art. It's not AI, uh, the first iterations of it, but it was still digital painting, which is cool. And it'll be very specific to that time, just like the first and second edition art, those painted art pieces will be specific to that time. But man, there's nothing like real oil or acrylic on canvas giving you that vibe. It's just, I don't know. There's nothing like it. $5 for a second edition player's handbook. Right now, I am jealous. 20 years ago, I wouldn't have been. People were giving those away. Most of the my player's handbooks that I have like, I don't know, four or five, were of that price. But man, to get a really good one in a really good condition, yeah, you're looking at $50 and $100, which but yeah, I am jealous. I want all the players' handbooks. All right, Yori, silly spicy question. Do you still use hit points in your game? I still use hits or wound strikes in my game. Do you use this approach by any chance? I think it can make combat feel realistic. It really does. My own game system has hits in them. Um, I love playing easy d6 with hits. In If I'm playing D&D, my monsters on my side of the screen have hits. Every 5 points of damage or hit points are basically translated to a hit, and I find that works really well for quickness on my side of the screen. But I still, because the players can bean count with hit points, um, yeah, that's what we do. But we're playing lower levels, right? So they're capping out between 20 and 30 hit points. So, but the other thing that I like to do is you start with 20 or 30 hit points, even in D&D. Like this is what you're going to start with. No wizard that goes down because someone sneezed on them. So, you know, whatever we're planning on going to, if that's fifth level or 10th level, then I say roll for the entirety, and that's your hit points. And that's that. The only way that you're going to get more is discover a magic item or something. Merlin, yes. San Francisco is definitely closer than where you are now, but it would take the same amount of time jumping on a plane and getting over there as it would for me to drive up to San Francisco. Oh, $5 Canadian. Oh crap. Yeah, that's like $3 for me. Yes, I am jealous then. Yeah, Ricardo, I don't mind digital art. He says nowadays digital art is so advanced, you cannot tell apart digital from traditional media if the artist really wants to emulate a real painting. It's true. Um, You can get there, but like you said, I think the artist really needs to lean into that. Um, you don't get the flaws of canvas, where canvas, has like waffling, right? Where there's fibers that are going horizontal and vertical, and that can change things. That's why I so love watercolor, is that you were aiming for a specific place and then it veers off and does something completely organic. But even with my own art that I do where I color it, I use watercolor and it can emulate that. I know very, very well. So, yeah, I don't knock digital art. It's just as difficult to do. Merlin, but disease is rampant in fantasy setting. It's true. A sneeze is deadly. It's true. It is so true. Race is class. It still makes me feel icky, but I do it. I get it. I understand it. I can wrap my head around it. But being an AD&D guy, it feels icky. It's true. Pale Emperor, demi-humans don't do what humans do. It is so, so true. It's so true. But I feel like I have to run away from my homebrew, which is no dark vision, and that kind of kills some of the demi-humans, some of their abilities. So there is that. I'd rather give them an innate ability to cast light. I think that would make even a bit more sense. Yeah, Merlin. I like OSC Advanced, where it gives you the option. You can play race as class, or you can play otherwise. Yeah, Ricardo. The problem with the art in 5e is the vibe. It's too safe and cozy. Some characters have glasses, some bake bread, too much happiness. Can I push back? I'm going to push back a little bit. Um, I didn't get that with the initial drop of books. Definitely the new 5.5. That's there. I love cozy in not only my art in my books, the One Ring is a perfect example of that, but also having deadly. So I think if you have a balance of cozy and then you have the deadly over the top art, I think cozy gives your characters something to fight for. And that's what I think about it. Um it shouldn't always be doom and gloom, but it can be. I mean, many of us came into the hobby like that. That's what a lot of the art depicted was dungeon delving and fighting monsters and all that. But I think there's a place for cozy. You'll see that in Mugwort, maybe if I can get the right artists. But even the cover right here that you see on screen, it's like this witchy lady holding a pumpkin, and it's not necessarily a cozy setting with people sitting around a tavern table. But one of my favorite pieces is in second edition, where there's some halflings dancing on the table. What's that? Do I have the book down here? I do. I do have this book down here. This may take me a second to find. It might actually be in the DMG. I don't reference these books that often anymore. So I'm not as versed as I used to be. But anyways, you may know the picture I'm talking about. but it was just a tavern setting, etc., with some halflings. Or maybe I'm thinking about the 5e one. There's that one. I don't know, but I thought there was one in second edition, and that the 5e was just paying homage to it. But anyways, it doesn't matter. I think there's a place for. I do want to see over the top battles and blood and gore, but I also want to see people gathered around, a tavern table laughing. So that's my thing. Yeah, some coziness. I don't, the adventure's where it's at, right? The rules are written for combat and for conflict. So yeah, for sure. It's true. Classic swords and sorcery tales were mostly doom and gloom. It's true. Um, but some of my favorite parts were Farford and the Grey Mouser hanging out at the Silver Eel and having a pint. So to me, that's cozy. Sideline question. Any updates on the back of your battle vest? Well, I did show it earlier, so once the stream's over, you can scrub back. You might even be able to scrub back now, but then you might get lost on the time frame. Um, I do have to put my Dolmenwood patch on there and all that. So, yeah, yeah, for sure, Ricardo. We're on the same page. I think I do get that. Ooh, okay. Which is good class and level cap for the game? Four classes, 10 levels each. You agree that less is better. Too much options and math breaks the game. Make it. It does. After a while, it's just a slog when you get too much. But my cap is like 10. Yeah, I do like classes. Here's an interesting thing. In modern games, most everybody wants to have an artificer or some sort of mechanical person. That seems modern to me. I'd rather have the assassin, um, which is more old school, right? And so I do like class, having options for classes. I don't think having just the base four is the way to go. To me, that's just Tolkien, or not. I mean, the thief is, Bilbo. You get a fighter. The cleric, not necessarily, and the wizard is Gandalf, right? The cleric was just an excuse to have a fighter magic user for a human. So it makes sense, but I personally love the barbarian. If there's a barbarian option, I'm typically playing the barbarian. I like the assassin. Um, I like the idea of a merchant class, which was an artisan class that Gygax used. So, yeah. Hey guys, I am so sorry about the ads. I think it's a tab on like a little slider that if I do another one of these, which I probably will, um, there's there's a way to turn that off. So I'm so sorry about that. How do I feel about PCs running evil characters from Merlin? Completely fine, but there has to be an agreement that at some point you're there to not necessarily undermine the other players because I find that causes more problems than creates fun. Unless you have a group of people that are all on the same page and they're kind of backstabbing each other, but there still needs to be a limit on that you can't do it all the time. And maybe the thief steals one of the 5 gems from the dumb barbarian over there, and he just doesn't know. But it undermines each other. And I don't have a problem with a chaotic evil character being played alongside a lawful good character, as long as they're doing something that is that they have a goal in mind, and then make that make sense. I think it's on the players to make that make sense. So I will ask that question. Tell me why this makes sense. That a lawful good paladin is playing with the chaotic evil cleric of death. So I guess death would be neutral, but you get what I'm saying. Something chaotic evil, chaotic evil thief or whatever. Um, you make that make sense. It's not on me to make that make sense. So that's how I handle that. Ricardo, what does Agranac mean? It sounds like a '90s shoot 'em up title. All right, it's um, it's a dragon, the very first dragon that I felt comfortable role playing, and this was, we were playing second edition AD&D. Surprise, surprise! But we were playing in the Kingdom of Karmikos, and yeah, Agranak is a silver dragon who, in my version of the world, is the father of all were creatures or lycanthropes. And so it was an interesting twist. But it was the first time that I said, "I love dragons. I'm going to play a dragon," and that's that. And so it was a big aha moment for me, and so that's where Agranak comes from. It was the name of that silver dragon. Oh, Pappy, awesome. Yeah, Easy D6 is great. I'm sad that it doesn't get as many views. I wish more people would fall in love with the system. It's such a great system. Um, yeah, I'm waiting for my physical copy of Dreadful Doomscapes right now. So hopefully it might even be at the post office. Ooh, got to check on that today. It's true, Merlin. Yeah, PCs don't wear a badge stating their alignment. It's true. I played that way too. Like nobody tell each other their alignment. And there was a spell called No Alignment. Not NO, but KNOW alignment. And there's a reason for that. So, yes, you have to play what you're going to play, but you know, even if I went that route and said nobody tell each other their alignment, and given that, know who your character is, and I would still say we're not here to backstab each other. We're not here to cause chaos. We're here to work together in one way, shape, or form, even if you're playing a chaotic alignment. My take on vampires. Yori, what's your take on vampires? Strengths, weaknesses, origins, backgrounds. I'm thinking of having a vampire necromancer in my own game in the future. I love vampires. I don't like classic vampires. Um, I think they serve a purpose, but they're too dumb and kind of weak as far as I'm concerned. Um, Weak because there's so many things. I mean, Guy Gax or whoever put together the original vampire for the Monster Manual leaned into the classic Hammer horror, where on every new movie with a vampire, there was a new weakness. It was garlic. It was running water. It was, we get turn undead from the vampire being shunned away from the cross, from Van Helsing. And, light is an issue. And, there's just, there's too many weaknesses, man. But Even though I love running Ravenloft and Strahd is a classic vampire, we have different takes in our own campaign, um, where they're not necessarily good or bad. They just are more like a fairy or fey creature. So they're just have a specific way that they eat. All right, we're at an hour and a half mark here. If you guys are still with me, then I think we're going to go to 11 my time. So that's another 26 minutes or so, and then we'll wrap up. But if you got any more questions, I'd love to answer them. This has been real fun, guys. Sorry about the technical difficulties early on, but yeah, this is interesting. Hopefully, I can get that worked out for the future. I'd love to do something like this once a month. Um, so yeah, it may not be at this time. We'll try and figure out a good time for more people to be on. And it may be a little bit later, maybe 3 or 4 o'clock my time, which would be really late for my European counterparts. Um, okay, real controversy time. Where's the bringing up politics? Oh, shoot, here we go. Level drain. Why should more DMs embrace it, and why should we not those who whine about it? It's one of the only things that freaks my characters or the players, freaks my players out is level drain. When we started playing second edition, because I don't think level drains in fifth edition, and then I played a lot of off games that wouldn't have level drain, like easy D6s. I don't think, well, there's no levels, right? Um, so when I did level drain for the first time, the widening of the eyes of the players was the best. That all of a sudden we weren't just hitting resources of hit points. This was like real weakness happening. And yeah, if you want to put fear in your game, but also have a lot of players whining and bitching and complaining and moaning, you level drain. I would say if you're going to use level drain, let them know that that is an option. Hopefully in game, try and put story behind it and say, use descriptive words from the soothsayers, the seers and oracles and witches and wizards around that you're going into this crypt. It is a white and or vampire, and you're gonna feel weak. Like years have been taken away from your life. Like you forget instances of who you were. It will take from you your skills and your memory. So advertise it before it happens, and then when it does happen, just smirk. You're the one that wanted to go there. Anyways, hey, thanks there, Pappy. I really appreciate that. Uh, saying that he rewatches a lot of my content about making the games feel more alive. I run games as a retired therapist at inpatient and outpatient clinics. Your content scratches my GM brain itch. I really appreciate that. That is awesome, and yeah, I love the landscape of using role playing as a therapy tool. And obviously, I mean, you're using it, and especially if you're a retired therapist, you're probably doing it for a while, and so you understand that the power that it can have, and so that's awesome that you're using it that way. Thank you. All right, advice to leave us with now that we're 21 minutes away here. Single piece of advice to be a better GM and also as a player. What do you think we should all keep to heart? Whew. Wow, that's a deep question and might be a great video topic for me to really delve into it. I think knee jerk off the top of my head. Um, know your players. Every player is different, but know your players. I think that would be number one. Know what they like, dislike. Most people call it like a session zero or whatever, but sometimes that's just delineating information. But know your players, what they like, what maybe they have in mind for their characters as goals, especially for long-term campaigns. Um, for a lot of one shots, that would just be give them the best bang for their buck. You know, um, as a player, my best piece of advice off the cuff, I would have to think about this for a while, but it would be um, know that you don't have plot armor. And if you play that way, um, I still think you can lean into your character and love your character and be attached to your character because there is always resurrection. So, vampire lizards. Merlin talks about his campaign and his videos that he's doing. Yeah, vampire lizards. Yes, eat your heart out, Strahd. Is there a graphic designer working with you on your channel? Yeah, it's me. Um, I was a graphic and web designer for I don't know 12 years. So yeah, I do it. Yeah. Have I checked out Dragon Slayer RPG or ACK, right? Or Axe Adventure Conqueror King? Uh, if so, what's your thoughts? Yeah, I got like the starter, whatever the preview of Dragon Slayer. It looks really good. And but at a discount, I have this thing with PDFs that I'll buy tons of PDFs and then I don't play them. I don't really. I'll reference them at a game table for ease, but I end up not playing them by and large. So I want the physical book. They have a sale for Dragon Slayer. It's like $75 on sale. Plus, I got to pay shipping. Man, that's a big investment for something that I'm probably never going to play. But I would love to glean from. So, but I haven't really taken a look at the axe, but I know that it would probably line up with a lot of what I want in my games. You're not dumb, Ricardo. Not at all. You're not dumb. Hey, thanks there. Yeah, I do want to do more live streams. I just want to make sure that I'm hitting everyone. Um, not hitting them, but able to get as many people. I mean, we've got some faithful followers that are in Germany. We've got um, we've got people that are in Finland and all that. So I want to be able to line that up, and that's like 9 hours difference from me, I think, which would be 6 hours difference from the East Coast. So I don't know, maybe somewhere about noon might be a better time frame. Tell me what you think about that. Speaking of someone from Finland, what's up, Rafi? Any predictions for the RPG hobby in 2026? I don't have any prediction. I don't know that I have a big pulse on the hobby at large. I think people that like what they like will like what they like, and people will gravitate towards that. If you're a Daggerheart fan, a 5.5 fan, you're gonna lean into that, and you're gonna do those things. If you're an OSR, which I think is thriving quite well, it's still under the radar, but it's still very viable and very much a great thing. And a lot of young players are into that OSR sort of gaming. And so I think those people will gravitate. And I think it's great to have different compartments. Um, so yeah, I don't think everybody needs to come together and sing kumbaya and just get along. And I can respect people for liking what they like, and I hope that that is the theme. Um, and then also allow others to like what they like. And so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. Hey, TPE, thanks for hanging and stopping by. Have a good time at work. We've got 15 more minutes here. Sorry about that, Rafi. Yeah, for sure. Maybe there just needs to be more notice, Wingus, that this is happening. I ran out of time yesterday for a video, um, and so here we are doing a stream, but still Agronet content. Woohoo! So yeah, maybe 9 a.m. my time. That's 12 o'clock East Coast, and then what is that? I don't know what that is. I can't do math right now. Like 6 o'clock in Europe. So yeah, I could have two different times for AMA live streams, and I'd like to have topics too, like where we talk about a main topic, kind of keep on task for something like that. Oh, Rafi's got D&D at this time. Yeah, yeah, got that. Understand that. Very cool. Well, just to kind of wrap up here with the last 13 minutes, lucky 13. Oh, yeah. I am planning on bringing the boys out, the puppets. Hopefully, I will have. I think I'm going to do that solo game wrap up, which would be the third part of Zoth finding his ancestral sword in that ancient tomb. Let's see if he survives. That I think that'll be fun. And Mug War is on the table. Really, my main hurdle right now is finishing up the adventure so that it makes sense for someone that's reading it for the first time. Right now, it's just got a bunch of notes in it and ideas, and not very game centric. So that's the main thing. But for the most part, the rest of it is done, which is cool. Just waiting on art pieces. One art piece in particular, and which is being drawn by Ricardo de Gaspar. Um, so he's part of the Ink Potion Studios line of artists, and so I'm happy to have an original piece in there that I commissioned specifically for the book. So that's going to be cool. Um, yeah, I like that idea. Next time we can have a poll before the stream so we can prepare a subject and questions. I like that. Um, Yeah, we could do more shorter ones. This one just happens to go. I thought I was going to do an hour. We ended up with two, mostly because of the technical difficulties at the beginning. I wish I was using my main microphone. I don't understand why it can't communicate, but it says that it is, and I can hear it and everything. It's just not coming across through the live stream, and I'm using Restream to do this. So, yeah, all right, very good. And okay. Um, I don't know. Maybe this is a good time to end, unless you've got any more questions. You have 2 minutes to ask an additional question. It can be silly. Just don't make it about politics or religion. Yeah, it is cracking a bit because it's coming off of my main laptop computer, which is not cool. So hopefully I can fix the microphone situation, because I've got you know a full setup over here. What's a nostalgic memory from my past that isn't RPG related? Um, I would have to say trick or treating, um, and just being really young, like 5 years old or so, and just that overwhelming feeling of just the atmosphere. And this would have been late 70s, uh, maybe even 1980 itself. I was 5 in 1980. Um, and back then, everybody had the bubbled glass, amber bubble glass, and here in California, everybody has a stucco house and these like verandas and like porch coverings that were open. And then you would walk up to these houses and the jack o' lanterns and all of that. It's not RPG related, but is the reason why I am doing the Sawing campaign and the Mugwort zine. So, what do I have against mustaches? I was starting to grow it back out. I was, and then I just got sick of it. I just got sick of it all of a sudden. I really want my mustache, but I want to be able to like put it back on and then take it off at my leisure. But man, my hair, I mean, obviously I don't have much hair there. I it takes a long time for my hair to grow in. My mustache is probably the most prominent. My beard is thin as heck, but I have it because that's just who I am. This is how it grows in, all white, trashy, and everything. So, but my mustache is it's good, but it just gets annoying to keep and to keep up and trim it and style it all the time, and yeah. So I don't have anything about against mustaches. I wish everyone had a mustache, or at least an option. Even women, bearded women, like bearded dwarves. Where do I find my pipes? One of the best places that I've found is called smokingpipes.com. They also have an EU version, so smokingpipes.eu, or maybe it's co.uk. But there's a European version, which you can still have shipped anywhere in the world. Same with America, you can have those shipped. And they take a picture of the individual pipes, and that is very important to me because sometimes you might have a pipe that looks like this. I like the rusticated ones, but it might just have some light, uh, you know, over sanding in certain areas or whatever, and the coloring's a little bit different. So I like to be able to see it, and even the stems can be bent just slightly more up or slightly down, so you can actually see your your pipe. So I love going there for my pipes, and most of my pipes are Petersons from Ireland, but I do have others. Yes, I am a gnome. Are I not? It's more like goblin core or hobbit core. You can't trust gnomes. You really can't. That's why you have to give them peace offerings, little, food offerings and whiskey offerings and all that. Yeah, it's some people can't do any other hair. My poor son, he can't grow anything. He's a true elf. We used to call him Legolas. We used to dress him up as in at Halloween like Legolas, and yeah, he's fair skin, blonde hair, so on and so forth. He's got all of that, and the poor guy wants a mustache so bad, and it just comes in. There's like just a few, and I'm hoping that it'll get better for him later in life. But yeah, he's 26 now. I don't know if there's much hope, but he's keeping his hair as opposed to me, so he's good on that. All right, we got 5 minutes here, folks, and then we will say farewell. So I guess that it's going to be whatever is the delay. I'm going to put up this picture. That's nice. So, so the lady on the zine cover, I don't have exactly who she is necessarily. She just happens to be a witch in the Saltwind Vale. So maybe I should put a little backdrop for her. Maybe write a little tidbit about an NPC that you can encounter. That would be nice. So, at any rate, the Sawin campaign coming to life through Mugwort Zine, Sawin, Hearth and Horror campaign setting. Um, yeah, I'm hoping that you're gonna like it. You know, a little cozy, mostly dealing with the undead and all of that. So yeah, so if you want to find me anywhere else on the internet, we are on Discord. We got a great group there. We play games on the weekends. Wingus is a great forerunner on that, as well as so many others. So if you want to play online, don't have a place to play, go there, check us out. Also, sign up for my newsletter at agranac.com. We've got merch. I've got my products on drive through, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, that's me plugging myself. Um, yeah, I think I'm stalling now. So I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you all for coming by and hanging out on this first live stream. I mean, I did a live stream for hitting 5,000 subscribers, but we're gonna do this. I think once a month. We'll try that for a couple months and see how it works. And yeah, I hope you have an awesome rest of your day wherever you're at. And yeah, later, everyone.